Hello, little creatures. We have Kai Van Bodhi. He's a pioneer of the field of holistic medicine. He integrates ancient alchemy, modern neuroscience, a complete accessible pathway of unlocking human potential. Holding a master's degree in Oriental medicine, he is a artful teacher of meditation, Tai Chi, Qigong, and mind-body exercises. He's traveled all over the world and has gone through a lot of fought through a lot of sickness and carries a lot of medicine from the different struggles he's gone through. And he does a lot of different plant medicine retreats, helps people heal. And so those links will be in the description if you want to check out his stuff. We're going to be diving into all things healing and shadow and the chi and whatever else spontaneously comes. So, hi, what's up?
It's great to be here. It's seems like we're living in a time where it's not business as usual anymore. We're in a time period where there's a lot going on, fires and fog and drones. So it's good to be here having a conversation about moving human consciousness forward in a good direction.
Yeah, this is that interesting times. What do you how do you interpret this time?
Well, I without really being able to prove any of this, just my what I feel inside is that we're actually living in the time that all of our great spiritual traditions have foreshadowed, a time when there's going to be a separation between the people who are ready to live into a new parallel reality where the earth becomes ascendant, food becomes pure, we work in harmony with our environment, we take good care of our bodies through medicine, and there'll be another layer of problems to solve and adventures to have. And then there's another part of the world that is getting ready to go into kind of catastrophic changes. And that'll be its own journey, and there'll be heroes and learning and growth there as well. But my main focus for myself and my family and for my brothers and my closest friends is to put ourselves on the path where we give full permission to this hologram to be one that enters into a new golden age.
Yeah, can we that'd be great. Can you lead us into a meditation or something to go on that frequency
Yeah,
and help us integrate that?
you want to do that right now?
Yeah, why don't we do that and then we'll do like more questions and discussions afterward because I feel like that'll bring in a lot of like
Absolutely.
high vibes and everything.
Yeah. And forgive me for not asking before the call. Do you have the ability to play a little music for us while we go into this meditation on your end? And if not, that's fine. I just was curious.
Is that sharing screen?
Yeah, you could share, and maybe I can do it. Hold on, let's see if I can do it from mine. Oh no, it's not going to let me. I'd have to go to my system settings to allow it, and probably have to restart. Yeah.
I'd have to do the technology witchcraft to figure that out another
Okay.
time.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let's just go right in then. All right. All right, here we go. So I'm going to invite everyone to bring their hands together that's watching. If you're not watching and just listening, bring your hands into prayer position. Feel the base of the thumbs touch the center of your chest. And bow your head. Allow the tongue to touch the roof of the mouth. And just take a few breaths in through the nose, down through the connection of the tongue into the heart. And then exhale and just feel the heart's energy coming up into the brain. Relax your body. And just consider what quantum physics teaches us, which is that there are infinite parallel realities. Google released a new chip, a quantum computing chip called Gemini, or it's behind Gemini, their AI. And the only way, or one of the only ways to explain how fast it computes and solves problems is that it's actually using parallel realities to pull information from. And so as we center ourselves, we tune into what the new Earth means to us. What would it look like if we lived on a planet where the water was clean, the various types of food that were available were free of poisons, where the government, while we might agree or disagree with some percentage, we generally acknowledge that they were in favor of humanity, in favor of sustainability. in favor of health. Just tune into where you would like to be on that new earth, in an epic relationship, with a healthy body, with work that you love, with enough money. And take a nice deep breath in through the nose and hold it. And then blow all your air out through your mouth and let it go. And then inhale, open your arms, draw them back and down through the nose. Exhale, mouth, close and squeeze. In through the nose, open the fingers, squeeze. Exhale, contract. Slowing it down now. 3 more. 2 more. Last one. Inhale, stretch open. Exhale, squeeze shut. Deep breath in, hands on the heart. Take a sip through the mouth, top it off. Swallow saliva, relax shoulders. And then open the lips and exhale through a tiny pinhole like air leaking from a tire. And just feel the heart and the brain. The brain and the heart. And whatever you believe in terms of a higher power, angels, ascended masters, divine intelligence in the quantum field, I invite you to take this moment and give the higher powers permission to intervene. Give permission to the timeline you're on to be one where the earth moves into a golden age. Let yourself forgive yourself and the world for anything that you hold against you or hold against it. And see the possibility of a golden timeline where all the solutions are brought forth and where we thread the eye of the needle. Humanity working together, permaculture, renewable energy, 0 point, natural medicine. Just find one thing to be grateful for on that timeline so your heart-brain coherence knows how to guide you there. And we'll take one more deep breath in through the nose as you find that gratitude. One more sip through a smiling mouth. Swallow it down. Relax your shoulders. Slide your hands down, palm over navel, and one more exhale through a pinhole. Slowly drawing the navel to the spine. And find those deep belly breaths. Breathing in through the nose, through the throat, through the heart, into a full belly. And then exhale through the nose and let the belly make a long, slow journey to the spine. And as you feel the weight of your body on the chair or the cushion, slowly start to come back to a new place and a new time, on a new timeline. And when you're ready, rub your belly. Up to the left, down below your navel to the right, small circles getting bigger. In our gut, we make 50% of our dopamine, 95% of our serotonin. So much motivation, so much happiness, so much reward and satisfaction come from a good, healthy gut. All right.
I want to know. I want to know what your vision looks like for that. I'm so curious.
For the new earth, you mean?
Yeah. What are you imagining?
Well,
what are you seeing there?
Well, the first thing I see is that we as a species stop looking for our politicians and our actors and actresses to solve anything for us. And at the same time, to recognize that whoever's in power, whether we voted for them or not, if enough of us get together and hold a timeline where that leader, that president, that vice president, whatever they are, they start to make decisions that are in the best interest of all, then we get to go on that timeline. You know, I truly believe in quantum physics, and simulation theory is really starting to prove this to be correct. But one of the people that I that I love. He's no longer alive. Neville Goddard. He teaches that everything in the universe is you pushed out. So your entire life is just a shadow reflection of what's going on inside of you. So the wife you pick, the kids you have, the friends you meet, they're all there to reflect parts of you back to yourself. So up until now, I believe the only thing that's prevented the earth from stepping onto a new timeline is people were so into consumption and fear and putting power outside themselves that there wasn't enough permission. But I think just recently in the last couple of years, maybe starting from COVID all the way through what's going on right now, I think that there's enough awakened people that are ready for the new earth that it's going to allow a big timeline to splinter off. And so, it's the age of Aquarius, right? It's holistic medicine. It's ironically, it's so many of the things that the conservative Christians push against. It's going to be crystals and technology, healing medicine, the power of consciousness, the recognition of unity. Quantum physics will become the primary science that influences biology and technology development. 0 point energy is going to become the new fundamental energy source, and it's going to liberate so many
Wow.
people.
Is this clear over here? My cards?
I see it. I can't see what it is. It looks like is that a mushroom and an ape? Is that what I'm seeing in there?
So what you're seeing is I do these cards like I do the I Ching. So I do one as the first one and then the transformed like the beginning.
Yeah,
And it
got it.
starts with gloomiest doom here. So this is like very like gloom and doom energy.
Yeah.
This is, kind of like what's happening now. And then it changes into ecstasis. It changes into unity, rapture, joy, motivation, like the singularity energy.
Yeah.
It's the place where like everything comes together, exactly what we're talking about.
I love that. And I was at a workshop like 6, 7, maybe 8 years ago in Ojai, California, with a Sufi master, and there was like a really potent group of visionaries and game changers that were there. In fact, at that time, I didn't even feel like I really belonged, but we were having a conversation about singularity, and what came through during a meditation for me, partially from the conversation, it sounds like you're using it in the same way, is that there is a narrow path forward for humanity. Now, when some people say singularity, they're thinking of a black hole. Other people say singularity, they're talking about, I'd say the most common definition is when AI and human intelligence merge together and they're inseparable. I would pose a third, and maybe you've already got this one, and I just pulled it from the field back then. It's like, in order to move forward on this planet, we need the very best integration of ancient wisdom, alchemy, the stuff that really works, that's really aligned. And we need the very best of modern technology, science, the new philosophy, neo-shamanism. We need to put all that together with no agenda. If it's effective and it's good for all, it goes into the singularity. And I believe that is the path to the new earth. That's the fastest path forward. Like I remember, maybe you remember this, Lugo. Like I think about 5, 6 years ago, a woman, a teenage girl. I don't know if she was from Europe or the United States. She was so tired of the pessimism in school that she did a research paper on, the top 10 problems facing the planet, and she provided 10 solutions that were scientifically proven, financially viable within the realm of technology. And she said, she gave the presentation and ended up becoming got like a TED Talk status. She said, why are we debating anything? These are the top 10 problems. Here are the solutions. They already exist. There's nothing to debate. Start doing the solutions. That's New Earth. She's part of the New Earth, indigo children, these children that come in with their mission. You probably have some of that going for you, I would imagine. No?
Yeah, I have a lot of weirdness in my soul going on.
Yeah.
So
You're a
I
system.
do, yeah.
You're
What?
a system. You're a system buster. You're not here to fit in. You're here to fit out, because fitting in won't do the earth any good anymore. A lot of the men I work with have fit in for a long time, but it's no longer satisfying to their soul. And so whether it's illness or change in job or change in relationship status, they're recognizing that they have to live a life on their own terms. They can't just do what makes them money or what gets
Yeah.
them approval anymore. Anyway, you were going to go somewhere.
And it's gonna flip. Like I've been the weird one now until now, and now it's all the normies who are gonna be the weird ones because it's the age of Aquarius. So that's like the the
Yeah.
weirdest part of the zodiac. So guys, get weird. But I want to know about I want to know about the specifics that you, because I'm sure you do that a lot where you manifest and go in to see the new Earth. I want to know what you're seeing on your timeline. What are you putting, like what are some specifics like globally and like
I gave them to you. I think what would be great. I'm not going to be attached to it. What would be great is if the new presidential regime in the United States is not what it seemed to be, and if we just took one part of it, let's say they do turn RFK loose and change the medical industrial complex, and all of a sudden ivermectin is available everywhere. And I mean, if you look into the research on ivermectin, it's absolutely mind-blowing. This inexpensive anti-parasitic drug that destroys cancer. It's so cheap. It's got very low toxicity. And there's probably 10 other drugs like that. And that's not even getting into traditional Chinese medicine, which I'm a huge fan of, because they, not just because I have education in that, the Chinese have been fighting pandemics for 5,000 years and keeping records of the herbs and the supplements. So it's like it's not a new thing. We need that information. So I think one would be to see RFK come in, to see the healthcare, the disease care go into an actual healthcare economy. See the pharmaceutical cartel taken, being done with, and there's an equal, access to inexpensive medicines that are very effective and have less side effects. I mean, that would be one huge thing to see happen. I think the second thing that is probably going to happen one way or another, but I think there's multiple ways that it goes down. I think we're on the verge of worldwide disclosure about, extraterrestrial life. And on the new Earth direction of that is that it's revealed that they are highly evolved technologically and spiritually. And while there are probably a multitude of them out there, the ones that we're going to be engaging with and interacting with are going to be the ones that are developed spiritually and technologically, who want to mentor us. And that's going to go along the lines of all the free energy 0 point technology. So imagine all that rolls out. And
yeah.
I'm already seeing that on my timeline. There's a
You're
company.
seeing all the alien vegan sober raves happening with the aliens
That's
dancing.
what you're seeing. Okay, I love.
Yeah.
Can mine? I guess in your timeline they're all vegans, because I'm hoping that they're primal and that's why they took all those cows, because they
Well,
really are.
I'm open to eating meat as long as I'm okay with going through the death of that animal, then I'm
Right,
fine with it. Like
right.
if I can
I
take
get
on
it.
the karma for
I
it.
get it.
Yeah.
I get it. So anyway, yeah. So I think that's going to happen. If you watched Stephen Greer's documentary, The Lost Century, really well done documentary about the 100 years of technology that's been withheld from humanity, and he brought all the receipts. He brought the inventors and the trail. So that's all there. And these guys, and some of these guys are controversial, but let's just take Stephen Greer and Billy Carson. Billy Carson, who's gotten some negative publicity recently, but regardless, both of them, a major thrust of what they're doing is they've created a private security firm, and they've created a think tank to protect inventors. So inventors that are on the threshold of producing free energy or some kind of game-changing health technology like Rife machines or whatever, they now have a private security force and a laboratory to work in that is protected by Greer and Carson. They have two separate entities that are working on new technology. That's it. That's happening. That's already this timeline that we're on. So I see evidence every day. One more thing I saw recently that is an evidence of the new timeline is that in Africa, if you didn't know this, most of the north of Africa is desert, and every year that desert encroaches further south because of the winds and the weather. And what they've done over the last 5 or 8 years, but it's now getting publicity, they've gone in and dug these little crescent-shaped holes in the ground, three different compartments on the outside of the crescent moon, and one compartment on the inside. Then in the first season, when the rainy season comes and the water fills the hole up, the water doesn't dissipate. As the water levels sink, they plant a specific tree in the center, and they plant specific plants to the left and the right, and then the pool of waters for animals, birds, etc.
Wow.
And then they've created a 5,000-acre green belt
Wow.
just by digging holes. And for the first time in however many decades or years, the desert is not growing anymore and the green area is growing. And what is the technology? It's digging of holes. I mean, there's 100 more solutions that are at that level of simplicity in working with the cosmic energy. All they needed to do. So we have the opportunity to terraform this planet, but not in a sci-fi nefarious way, but in a harmonious, symbiotic way. You know, and
and in my dreams, I go to the, like, a lot of my, like, my south node is Aquarius 8th house. A lot of people think very positively about Aquarius. My dreams are all like the darkest possible. Like, I mean, they used to be, not anymore, but like the 8th house Aquarius stuff. So it's like you're working 24/7. You're like a slave for some higher alien species. And it's like you have to wear all these masks and you have to wear all these things and everything's toxic and the environment's toxic and like everything is like just a huge struggle and like a grind. You think working, 9 to 5 is bad. Wait till you if you go to some of the bad parts of Aquarius.
But I would say, it's really exciting that we live in a world. I mean, I work with some very mainstream clients, but I'm not afraid to say that, if you look at documentary shows like Ancient Civilizations on Gaia, like the Anunnaki played a role in the development of the human species, and it doesn't take an expert to figure out that it looks like they're still here. It looks like they never left. If you look at some of the Catholic Church's, iconography and symbology, and you take it back to what they're finding in Turkey, and that goes all the way back then to the Middle East with the Anunnaki, there's always been a kind of controlling group of beings that even though it's not as bad as your darkest Aquarian nightmare, it's pretty much what you just said.
Are they kidney beans, black beans, or legume? What kind of beans are they?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Are we talking about the good ones or the bad
Said
ones?
nefarious beans. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, yeah. I think they're black beans, but maybe they could be red beans. Actually, I'm pretty sure that the whole Anunnaki were a interplanetary species, so they weren't one race. That's why we got so many different races on this planet. We were made in their image. So, there's a variety on this planet for a reason. Each creator that got to, genetically engineer a pool of people put their own traits into them. That's why we have all the different races. That's at least one theory on it.
My theory is, in my timeline, I see people appreciating what we have. And thus, when you appreciate what you have, I feel it's like the mother, and a lot of diversity can grow up. When we're too focused on like just expanding and expanding and expanding, like that's where like I feel like too much colonialism can come in to play when we don't honor the roots beneath us. So I see a world where we realize that we have everything we need, so we grow our roots really deeply, and we don't necessarily have to be flying everywhere, traveling all the time. I think we'll be content wherever we're at, and we'll make wherever we're at like super beautiful. And I'm not to say there won't be travel, but I think contentment is the timeline I see.
I love that. I appreciate that, and I think certainly that would be my choice. And part of what I believe is important about the singularity is and this could be a limitation of my ability to vision. I don't see a reality where everyone's going to go back to, permaculture and intentional communities. But once 0 point energy is the normal energy and all of our technology is designed to interact with it, travel and technology will no longer be a taxation on the environment. It'll no longer pollute. It'll no longer consume, finite resources. So I think there'll be people that go deep and set roots and have intentional communities and start to develop all kinds of magic. And, it's going to be like returning to the age of Merlin and those type of, Middle Earth type of stuff, but more utopian. But I still think there will be another part of us. Some of these futurists say that all great movie material, especially the ones that are mimetically successful, they just make a huge impression on us. They come from past and future timelines of humanity, and the general consensus is Star Wars was our past and Star Trek is our future. So there will be I think there'll also be a group of part of the incentive to get our shit together on this planet and stop killing ourselves and killing each other is that we will become an interplanetary spacefaring species, and there'll be all kinds of cool adventures to get into out in the, into space. That's going to be the next thing that'll be there for us. And I'm with you. I might take a couple trips, but I'm going to stay around my garden and my healing clinic and around my brothers and sisters that I love and do my martial arts. I'm going to stay here for the most part. But if I hear of a great martial art on another planet, I might go check it out and study for a little bit.
Yeah. Maybe get an alien partner. We can all get alien partners.
Okay. That's true. That's true. That's true. Have you heard of the Baha'i faith? You ever heard of Baha'i?
Yeah.
Okay. One of the coolest parts of the Baha'i was that they really encouraged the believers to engage in cross race marriages, because one of Baha'u'llah's predictions was that there will come a time when the human race is everyone is so mixed in their race that there won't be any more prejudice, because everyone will have everything inside of them. That was one reason, but the other reason was also that with that type of genetic diversity, the quality of those human beings, because of the genetic diversity, would be extra special. Very, very powerful genetic diversity. So I think you're right. When we have access to extraterrestrials, that'll be a thing for sure.
Yeah. I want to hear about. I think this is also going to help people into the new timeline. How do we gather in chi?
Yeah. Well,
a very simple way of like.
Well, the one thing, like I have to honor my background because I'm trained in Chinese medicine, functional medicine, but I'm also into the alchemical stuff. So I'll just start with saying there's a brother and sister, Casey and Callie Means. They recently did a Joe Rogan interview, number 2210, and they wrote a book called Good Energy. And the brother worked in the lobbyist in DC, with agriculture and pharma, and the sister was a surgeon. And at some point during their kind of midlife crisis or Saturn return or whatever you want to call it, that one of their family members died of cancer, and they wrote this book on Good Energy. And what they basically said was that, most of our problems as Americans and in the world really are metabolic. And what that means, to make it really simple, Lugo, is metabolic means how our body makes energy from air, from food, from water, how we make energy. And she said it's a spiritual crisis because there's so much estrogen in the water that it makes us docile, the men and the women. There's so many petrochemicals and glyphosates that we're all dealing with this toxic load. And as a country, how do we pull ourselves up and move on to the new Earth timeline if we don't even have energy? We're so tired and depressed and sad and addicted. So on the base level, having energy is about getting into your mitochondrial health. So you got to eliminate the toxicity. You got to find ways to detox it. And, thank God to the world of TikTok and Reels. There's so many amazing spiritual beings that are out there, and doctors that are just laying out detox protocols, to detox nanotechnology, to detox estrogen. But so we could go down that rabbit hole, and I could certainly give you some of my favorite protocols. But what I would say is the best way to gather chi or energy is to exercise, eat pure food and clean water, and then get your exercise outside, barefoot, on the earth, in the sunlight. So much of the expensive biohacking technologies, they're all mimicking our primal ancestors and mimicking natural resources. Red light therapy, sunlight. Pulsed electromagnetic frequency and grounding, get barefoot on the earth. Breath work training with forced oxygen, forced carbon dioxide, get outside, do rapid fast breaths, do super long, slow, deep breaths, practice holding your breath, practice holding with no air. Those are the 4 directions of breath training. Don't fall for just one is better than the others. Yeah. You want to do all 4. And then what kind of exercise do you want to do? 3 kinds. You want to sprint. You want to find a safe way to sprint. If you can only use an exercise bike, great. If you can run, great. If you can swim, great. or another version that would be high intensity interval training. Number 2, you want to lift heavy things. We want to lift heavy things at least 2-3 days a week. And then number 3, you want to move your body in zone 2 cardio. And you want
My
to get
parents are gonna listen to this, and they're gonna love this. Is gonna be my their favorite podcast of mine, because they're very like, they're more like conservative Christians, and they watch a lot of podcasts like this that are very like practical and everything. So this will be the first interview that I have that I think they'll really enjoy and
Yeah.
understand what I'm talking about. So
Great. Well, if you can't afford, good, because we all need it. We all need that. So if you get outside, you get barefoot, you do your breath work, and then when it's all done, lay down on the ground on a blanket that's not synthetic and take some deep breaths and just connect your body to the planet. And that's probably one of the best ways. But again, that's not going to make a difference if you're drinking water that has plastic and pharmaceuticals and it's not structured and you're eating conventional food.
I use
You're
Clearly Filtered is the filter I use. It has like, I'm not sponsored or anything, but it has like fluoride filter. Like, it's the best one that I've found
great.
online.
Just the fact that to filter it is a huge step up from a lot of people, and that you're drinking from glass, not plastic, because you know about the estrogen effects of plastic. I mean, our world. I mean, the coolest part about being alive right now is it's just as cool as Dune or Avatar or any other epic sci-fi movie you love. The world is designed to sell us stuff that destroys our health, and then we have to buy it back on the side if we're going to go out of pocket. But the cool part is, as engineered as it is against us, there's so much information available, like your YouTube channel, about how to work with crystals, how to work with your dreams, how to work with your shadow. So that's the cool part of this time on planet. And that's why I really believe there are 2 trains at the station. And one train is going to catastrophe and earth changes. And another train's going to the golden earth, the new earth. And I know it sounds pie in the sky, but quantum physics backs it up. Like, every free will decision we make puts us on a new timeline. So there's infinite numbers of parallel timelines. That's like Mandela effect stuff. So we might as well get on the new earth train. That's where I'm headed.
Yeah, let's go. I hope they have vegan desserts on that train.
Yeah, of course they will.
Wow.
Yeah, of course they will, dude.
I would love to know about let's hear about some stories. Share some stories that come to mind from your experiences, and more mystical the better.
Well, I have a personal one, which is I lived in China for 7 years, and there's a lot of stories around that. I finally found a Taoist mentor for 5 of those 7 years, and had a lot of incredible experiences. But during that time, I went to Hong Kong. Oh no, I went to Taiwan, and I did a 10-day meditation retreat, 10 days, called Vipassana. And in Taiwan, in this particular type of thing, it's very strict. You come in, you change out all your clothes into like regular clothes. We meditate 10 hours a day, and if you try to go back to your room, they'll come get you. They won't let you out. Can't do yoga, tai chi, qigong. You can only do simple stretching. That was really hard for me. But anyway, somewhere around the 7th of 10 days, everybody was having some confirmations of how the meditation was progressing, and I was feeling really left out. I was feeling like I wasn't progressing as fast as some of the other people. And even though it was silent, there was a Q&A period every night for about 25, 30 minutes after dinner with the proctors, with the people facilitating. And I go back to my room that night, and I lay down on my tatami mat on my bed, and I started to do the meditation technique. And I was, at this point, the other person that shared my room had already left the retreat. They bugged out. They couldn't take it. And once you leave, you can't come back. Not that many people leave, but about 6 or 7 of the 30 of us left. So anyway, I'm laying there in my bed, and I'm just thinking, man, I really want to get to this place where I disappear, and I start going through the technique. And all of a sudden, I can hear in my auditory channels this roaring sound. This loud roaring sound, almost like an ocean sound or the sound of like static when you get on the wrong TV channel and there's nothing there, or the wrong radio station. And I can feel that sound getting closer to me, coming up from my feet, and everywhere beneath that sound, my body is gone. It's dissolved. Like the sound's moving and my feet are gone. My ankles are gone. My knees are gone. And it's getting up closer. As it gets up closer to my torso, I start to get super scared that when it's done with me, I won't be there anymore. There'll be none of me left. And I feel paralyzed, and I'm just like, Kai, wake up, wake up, wake up. And I finally sit up, and I am drenched in sweat. I mean, soaked. And my heart is beating like I just sprinted for like 2 minutes. And as you might guess, I immediately regretted waking myself up, because that was the experience that we were going for. I was never told it was going to come as a roar and the dissolution of my body, but that's essentially what we were doing with this meditation technique, seeing the body at the quantum level of what it really is, which is just energy, right? 99.9% empty space. So anyway, that was just a moment of my life where I got what I wanted, but I wasn't ready for it. I didn't have the courage to accept it. I was scared for the loss of my ego, my individual identity. So, and I really wish if I could go back.
It's understandable if you can't get back into your body, that'd be scary. Like,
well, I don't know what would have happened, but I just know what came up for me was that if my feet are gone, what's going to happen when I'm gone? What's going to happen when my heart's gone? Like I was, so anyway,
that's understandable. You didn't want to hurt yourself. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's not, yeah.
Right. But it felt to me like a dialogue with the universe, because the part of me that was in comparison, got checked. Oh yeah, this is what you want, Kai. You're ready for this? Here you go. And then I backed out of it. All right. That's a pretty mystical one. Another one was 2 years ago here in the mountains of Southern California, right around my birthday in the end of May. A group of guys got together and we did a medicine journey. And then one of my best friends and I it was the end of the night. Medicine was completely worn off. Everyone was kind of just hanging, talking. We went out in the trail and we were doing Qigong. We were just doing breath work and stretching and talking about our lives and our wives, etc. And it ended up that he sat on a log and I was laying on the ground on the trail. And I saw him keep kind of looking past me and looking through me. And eventually he said, "Hey, Kai, wait a second." And I rolled over and got up, and it's on a ridge top of a mountain, but there's some city lights in the distance or some small town lights. And I look out, and right on the horizon, what appear to be like maybe 500 yards away, is a big light, but it's nighttime and it's not moving. And it looks like a big spotlight, big searchlight, but it's not moving. It's just there, but it's so low and so big. First thing I said, bro, there's no noise. It can't be a helicopter. There's no sound. It can't be a drone. And then we're just like, what? And just as we think that, the light goes whoosh, off right out of in front of us and just shoots at a very high speed across the visual field. So we look at each other like, oh my God. And we look up at the sky. It's this beautiful night sky. And then we look up, and way high up in the atmosphere, we can see what looks like an ant line, but of these twinkly lights, and they're just moving across. They're moving across. And every time we focus on one, and we would kind of count them left to right, we'd focus on the same one, it would slow down or stop and get a little brighter. And then when we would take our focus off it, they would continue marching. And we were like, we looked at each other and we said, you guys are going to have to trust me on this one. And we said, are you ready for contact? Are we ready for contact of the fifth kind? We both agreed we are. We're ready for contact with a super high level being, and we want to be educated. We want to be up leveled. We want to be an emissary, whatever that looks like. So we made our little agreement, and the next thing you know, Lugo, we hear footsteps on this trail that there's never anybody on. And this guy comes down, and he is like blonde hair, blue eyes, like 6'4". His clothing has no labels on it, and I'm into like outdoor gear and certain brands. No label. He has a backpack, no label. He has a really cool walking stick that's all kind of gnarled wood, but he looks like he's like maybe 30, 33 years old, no wrinkles, beautiful. And he walks right up to us, almost like what are you guys doing? And we look over, and my friend and I are like, is this a non-human being? And I said, hey, we were just noticing the lights up there, and we were thinking, could it be Starlink? Could it be satellites? But we don't really think it could be. And he looks up and he looks back and he goes, yeah, it's not that. He said, yeah, it's not those things. And then we stood there, and there was this awkward silence, at least for my friend and I. And then he said, well, you two gentlemen have a beautiful evening. And he proceeded to walk down the trail past us the other way. And
Wow.
and we sat there in silence. And here it's funny because here's a theme. When we went back to the house where we were staying, and we told the other brothers, the other Jedi, about it. And what we reflected on that night was that we were ready and we called it in, but at the moment of revelation, we were too in our social consciousness. We were too afraid to offend him or be judged for believing in extraterrestrial life, whatever it was. We both agreed that our human ego came up at that moment, and we were more in fear than we were in curiosity, open-heartedness. Because if we had been, we would have said, what message do you have for us? I mean, what's the worst that could have happened? He'd say, what are you talking about? And we could have pushed on that, but we didn't. But I know in reflection, the lack of tags on his clothing, the lack of branding on his backpack, how beautiful he was as a human, like just a beautiful specimen of a man, the blonde hair, blue eyes, Pleiadian, and then the wizard stick. Like all the signs were there for me. But I still went into, oh, what if he thinks we're weird? And what if it's, whatever. He didn't put off that energy. I put that energy off. And so we stood in an awkward silence, and I'm going to assume that he realized we weren't ready for any kind of deeper dialogue, so he moved on. Anyway,
Wow.
I don't know that he was extraterrestrial, but I can just tell you it was
It
a magical
totally
mystical moment.
He's only it's the
Yeah.
first person I've met that's met an alien.
Yeah, well, there's a
So
whole
cool.
thing of like fifth kind gatherings, which I would love to go to, where people get together in the desert and they do breath work and meditation, and they call for the UFOs to come, and the UFOs come and they get footage of it. I don't know about the manifesting actual representatives from the UFOs, but definitely in like Joshua Tree and other desert places where they do these fifth kind, which is like, have you heard of that? The encounters of the fifth kind. So, there's a famous movie, The Third Kind and The Fourth Kind. The fifth kind is where human beings consciously put a signal out to want to receive contact from benevolent extraterrestrials, and then those extraterrestrials, in fact, show up either by aerial phenomenon or by visions or downloads. And that's actually a thing that people run events based on that. That's some pretty cool stuff. And that's helpful because if the government decides, like, if you heard of Project Bluebeam?
Yeah, I don't know about it, but I heard about it.
So Bluebeam is a project that they've already declassified stuff on, which is, and President Reagan mentioned it when he was in office, which is that if need be, the government is prepared to fake an alien attack to try to bring humanity together. And similar to 9/11, similar to pandemics, they would do it in a way that would allow them to take away more of our human rights and justify the continued spending on the military industrial complex. Because now we have a unified enemy that has greater technology. And so it would just justify all the black op projects, all the misspending. And it's just for a scenario like we're in, where somebody like Trump gets elected who's really not into all these shenanigans, who actually wants to do things differently, whether we like him or not. He's not into playing the game. If you notice, like the last time he got elected, he let all these regular Washington, D.C. kind of politicians come in and run everything. And now he's got this team that is so, it's like a movie. He's got Elon Musk and he's got all these people doing crazy stuff for him, RFK. Like, it's not business as usual. I'm not saying they're going to do the best things. I'm holding that hope. But so anyway, so this all the drones that have been up recently, it looks like it's Project Bluebeam, which is if they can make us think that there's some kind of extraterrestrial threat, then they'll be able to take away our human rights on a much grander scale. They'll be able to continue to do the stuff they've done. So encounters of the fifth kind create a pocket of humanity and consciousness that have had positive interactions with unidentified objects in the sky, where there's like a relationship being formed, and let's say they are extraterrestrial and intelligent. They know that there are groups of humans that are ready for this disclosure, that have trust and faith. And you think of movies like Contact or Arrival. Contact you're probably a little young for, but Arrival was more recent. Like the aliens, like that was a really healthy movie for our collective consciousness. That was a good movie. Like whoever is behind that is part of the New Earth good guys. Like they communicate in a different language, and they're here to help us. And what one guy translates as weapon, the other guy translates as tool. Right?
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. I mean, that's a potent impression on human consciousness. It's entertaining. It's well created. It's well written, but it has an impact of, we could probably trust a more advanced species. So, So those are two of my more mystical stories. I have a few more, but those are the ones that come to mind.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Lot to expand into. Here. Last thing, I want to hear about a part of yourself that you didn't know was there, the most recent or a really important part of yourself that you discovered recently that you didn't know. It can be like a character, or it could be like a myth or a deity or anything.
I mean, maybe we do more than one, but I think the biggest thing is I've discovered this part of me that really wants to get it right, really wants to do the right thing, really wants to be liked and loved by the people in my life. And also recognizing where that is unhealthy. And what I found recently from some of the esoteric studies and some of my mentors is that I'm starting to be more comfortable with the part of me that is going to just fail forward. Like I may make mistakes as a father, as a husband. I may make mistakes as a coach and as a doctor, and being perfect is really not an option. So the whole point of human life is to fail forward. It's the whole point, from my perspective in the esoteric traditions, the whole point of human incarnation is to descend from a realm of all energy, all love, all oneness, all spirit, into a realm where it's possible to forget your divinity. And the fun of that is so you can remember it again. You can wake up to it again. And I have been unconsciously holding myself hostage, trying to be perfect, trying to do the good thing, the right thing all the time. You and I had a conversation before this call about shadow work and darkness when we connected previously. And I'm starting to recognize and give myself permission to make mistakes, to really ask for what I want, even when it may upset the apple cart or it may hurt people's feelings like that, because, I've just realized there's just no sustainability to the other way of life. Like it's maddening to try to be the good guy all the time. So I'm bringing light into the shadow and I'm giving myself more permission to make mistakes, and I'm preparing on even greater levels to start asking for more of what I want. Now, and so for me, like this year, my theme and the theme of my work that with the groups I work with is called the Unrelenting Alchemist. That they're like, I've had miracles to the tune of several $100,000 with manifestation work, with visualization, feeling. I've had incredible miracles with that. And a lot of my training is about discipline and implementation and breath work and sleep hygiene. And so the program I'm creating is for the people who are ready. Basically, it's singularity program technology. Like we're gonna detox. We're gonna get our blood tested. We're gonna take the right supplements. We're gonna get our sleep dial. We're gonna fall in love with exercise. But we're also gonna do deep visionary psychedelic work, and we're gonna put those together. Wow. Because that's where I think the singularity. That's what I believe to be the fastest way forward for any human being. You can be all three-dimensional, hard work, goody two shoes, or even bad, and do the hard work, but it's hard. Or you can lose yourself in the spiritual realm, sitting on your couch, visualizing, but never taking any actions and being in a toxic body. And the reality is we need both, or that's my hallucination. And I'm excited. I'm excited to lead a group of men through a year-long journey where we're taking the full advantage of psychedelic medicine, but with incredible accountability, support, microdosing, breath work, transformational foundation practices. And I think that, but don't get me wrong, you know who this is for first? It's for me. That program is for me. That's what my life has led me up to. And sometimes I've leaned more 3D, effort, work, sweat, weights, discipline, but self-judgment and burnout in that. And then other times I've led towards spiritual bypass, where I'm just like in the bathtub visualizing, hoping something's going to happen, but then I'm refusing to take the actions. And so I'm ready now to integrate that at a whole new level. The two sides.
Wow, it's so powerful. I love this. Yeah, this is an honor having you on the show. I hope everyone checks out your links and descriptions and starts working with you, as well as if you want to support Lugal's World, you can get a reading, you can explore the other videos, and please comment. This is your diary. Share some of your stories. We want to read and hear where you're at, and what does this inspire? What does this spark? So please subscribe, and go and be the best little creature in the whole universe. And you already are that. Wink, smile.